This is black light. They just ain't got nothing to do. They protesting Atlanta, Georgia. I don't trust stuff like that. Somebody could come in a crowd and spray some coronavirus in the air. Half of them running around there with no protection. This is happening all over, just about all over the country. It's Atlanta, Georgia. Let's go to Chicago. Let's go to California,
where your color does not matter in terms of how you are dealt with, whether it is in terms of protests, whether it's in terms of jobs, whether it's in terms of all sorts of possibilities, but in particular when it comes to police brutality. And so, Dan, just to pick up on one of the points that you made earlier, the one thing that there will be a wealth of in this case when it finally gets into the court system is an overwhelming amount of video, and that we didn't have that in years past, and so now everybody has a cell phone, and you hear the line, racism isn't getting worse, it's getting filmed. And that will certainly be brought to bear in this case, no doubt, because you had people that were videotaping on their phones from all sorts of angles. So there's going to be an overwhelming amount of evidence in this case.
Yeah, that's a great point, Larry. And as we all know, for many, many years, people we all know, other people we don't know, and you heard story.
yet still, he's dead. He don't know none of this is going on.
Advent of all of this cell phone video, and is it happening more, or are we just seeing it more? And we're seeing it sometimes in its raw and brutal nature, and it's shocked the conscience of the country, and we've seen this yet again in the George Floyd case. Rodney King was another example that touched off a firestorm around the country, and decades later, George Floyd is another example of what so many in this country have said for so long is a genuine and serious and very deep-seated problem.
That's Minneapolis.
I got another fire. Another fire?
They ain't playing in Minneapolis. Even though they said they arrested the cop and charged him, they said they undercharged him. But it looks pretty quiet. They're just fires.
After someone there fired a gun near a peaceful protest. Protesters in Columbus, Ohio charged the state capitol, and more demonstrations are expected there today. And protesters are also rallying in New York for a second day. NBC News correspondent Ron Allen is there. And Ron, what's happening where you are in the city?
Well, Allison, there's a crowd of several dozen protesters that are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They're supposed to start at 4 o'clock, but it's starting early. And they've moved down here, and they are converging on the New York Criminal Court building and the district attorney's office here. You can see there's a big NYPD police presence on bikes all around this area. There are literally hundreds of police officers trying to make sure things stay under control. A little bit further down the street here, you can see it looks like there are a couple people who are here. Yesterday there were 70 people arrested. There were confrontations. There were a couple of police officers who were injured and had concussions. So the police were ready for this. And this all started happening in the last half hour or so, but you can see things are getting a little bit chaotic. The police, of course, are well prepared for these kinds of things. The protesters are here in support of protesters out in Minneapolis. They're also, this is a We Can't Breathe protest, which of course echoes Eric Gardner. The Garner case happened 6 years ago, next month, July 2014. To this day, no officer has been charged with a crime in that case. And these protesters are very aware of that. You can see here they're bringing out some guy who's causing some problems. Unsure what exactly he was doing down here, but clearly the police are not playing with this. They don't want any trouble back here. So, just watching the situation. It's a very narrow street. And
That's why marching ain't cool. Only thing you gonna do is fill up the jail. Been doing that for years, nothing ain't changed. When this quiet down and by next month, it's gonna be the same thing. Then it's gonna reoccur again. People gonna marching ain't cool. Too many provocateurs. See them Caucasians out there. You don't know if this was planned or not.
a man who, he doesn't look like one of the protesters. They were much younger people, and this is an extreme situation here where they just carry this guy out. He looks to be in some distress. Now the police are picking him up by all and just carrying him out. Okay, let's get him, understand where we are here. Let's. Get out of the street. All right, the cops are insisting that we get out of the street and on the sidewalk, trying to bring order here. Let's see if we can see what's going on down there a little bit. Because this is where the heart of the protests
as long as you're in a safe place.
Yeah, we're in a safe place. This seems to be the heart of the protest. The police are drawing a firm line here where they are blocking the protesters. The protesters are now moving further on. And that seems to be what the police want, is for them to keep moving and to go further on. Well, stay with it. See what happens out here. But another crazy situation all of a sudden. Allison?
Yeah, Ron, unbelievable. Before I let you go, if you're able to stick with us, one thing you said that struck me, Eric Garner 6 years ago, it's hard to believe it has been that long. What else are folks there telling you as you speak with protesters there today?
Well, there was some relief. Obviously, when one of the officers out in Minneapolis was charged, because here it's been 6 years and there have been no charges. There was a state grand jury that looked at the Garner case. The federal prosecutors looked at this for 5 years, 2 administrations, the Obama administration, eventually the Trump administration, and it was just July of last year that the Attorney General decided that there would be no civil rights federal charges filed against the officer. The officer, Daniel Petaleo, was fired as a result of a NYPD internal disciplinary hearing, but there has not to this day been anyone held criminally responsible in the Eric Garner death. And so when things started happening out in Minneapolis,
says he spoke with the family of George Floyd, expressing his condolences and saying that they are entitled to justice. But tonight there is outrage over the president's early morning tweets when, as the Twin Cities burn, he appeared to call for authorities to shoot protesters in the street. CBS's Ben Tracy is at the White House tonight. Ben.
Nora, President Trump is directing the Department of Justice to expedite an investigation into George Floyd's death. The president says that he understands the hurt and the pain in Minnesota, but his tweets don't reflect that. Tonight, President Trump says the violence in Minnesota must end.
We can't allow a situation like happened in Minneapolis to descend further into lawless anarchy and chaos.
But his extraordinary early morning tweets only added to the tensions. He called the protesters and looters thugs and threatened to send in the National Guard to get the job done right. Mr. Trump evoked memories of the racially explosive 1960s, tweeting, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts," a phrase made famous by Miami Police Chief Walter Headley in 1967. It sparked race riots. Twitter flagged the president's tweets as glorifying violence.
If you come from African country, you can't go in our building.
China's African community has been the subject of conspiracy theories and misinformation that they are responsible for carrying COVID-19. Now, they're facing a wave of discrimination. Widely shared videos on social media and on WhatsApp appear to show discrimination towards China's African community. Arrests on the streets. A man claiming he was reported to the police for taking a bus, and the McDonald's in Guangzhou displaying a sign saying black people are not allowed to enter. McDonald's then temporarily shut down that branch after learning about the unauthorized sign. NBC News wasn't able to verify the circumstances surrounding these videos, and it is unclear what happened beforehand, but these incidents have gained widespread attention all over social media.
Yeah, these some different times, all right. Always stay cool, calm, and collected. Always strategize, though. This is Black Light. Stay tuned.